When did joggle become front of mind?
When did joggle come front of mind? I remember I wanted to do joggle. Will Goose had done joggle, so I knew about joggle obviously prior, but Will had done it more recently, and he came 7 marathons in 7 days, and so we were like chatting about it. And then one of my really good friends is the youngest. Good family friends, is the youngest male to have done joggle. So I knew of because of that. I remember jumping on a call with him being like, I'm thinking about doing joggle. And he was like, gave us like a massive, he did it when I think he was 18. Wow. So he had like a textbook, like a folder with loads of information. And I then said to Ben, I want to do joggle. I'll be the youngest female if I do it when I'm 22. And then we got training because we didn't have that long. We left 22. So yeah.
The training process alongside building a career, finding your feet in London and sort of juggling all these things and the ambitions that were developing, how did you manage that? Was it a challenge? Did it come naturally to you? Obviously, surviving Sedba makes you hardy and all the things you've done, 7 marathons in 7 days is very challenging to get through. But that slight step up in terms of volume whilst also trying to make a living in London, pay the bills, all the things going on. How did you manage with that? And were there any specific things that you did that really made a difference?
So I was working full time at the time. Yeah, I was. Once again, you can never train. It's experience. It is you. The bigger base you have, the easier as such you're going to find these things. My only base was 7 marathons in 7 days. So regardless of how I ever hard I trained, which I was never going to be able to train, I did 60k a day for 22 days. I was never going to be able to train hard enough to compensate for 60k a day for 22 days. So my biggest training week was 100 miles, 160k, which when I had a full-time job was a lot. And while trying to kind of recover and while trying to do my strength training and everything. But it's a lot, but also in comparison to kind of my training weeks for 3 peaks, doesn't even compare. So I think I definitely know, because I actually had a different coach after Ben for joggle. He was amazing, but I wasn't I was never going to be prepared enough for joggle. I finished joggle and I was like, that was the hardest thing ever. And in comparison to 3 peaks, I literally say joggle was a holiday. But at the time, it's a relative. It was so unbelievably hard, and I wasn't prepared enough, but I was never going to be prepared enough. So
there's a learn on the job element with these things as well, multi-day, isn't there? I'm sure you experienced it a little bit with the 7 marathons, but I'm sure even more so with joggle, whereby you kind of adapt. You're like, wow, I feel fantastic today.
Completely.
So what were the key moments along the way with joggle? Because I can imagine a lot of the skills you developed in that experience, the experience you developed in that process rather, were really, really crucial to success when it came to the 3 peaks.
I think firstly, the mindset switch from you always have to be running. By 3 peaks, so 7 I was sub 4 hours. If I'm not running the whole thing, then it's not a run. So for joggle, I remember the first 8 days, I'd spend, I'd say 100% of the time running and doing them quite quickly. And then we thought I had a stress fracture on day 10, and I walked for 12 hours. I walked 60k in 12 hours or whatever it was. And I remember thinking that was the biggest thing, because I'd never been on my feet for 12 hours before. But actually kind of relatively 12 hours is not nothing, because it is a massive. But yeah, it was kind of, now it's kind of nothing. So I think it's losing that mindset of being you have to run. So you have to be running the whole time for it to be a run. You can walk. And yeah, I think that was probably the biggest thing. And also time on feet is time on feet, 3 peaks I was doing, I did a 32-hour stint kind of thing, with a couple of naps. But I think it was that mindset switch of, one, time on feet is normal, things take time. And to be fair, I would say I did do joggle at a relative pace. And once my body had recovered after this kind of stress fracture scare, on day 14, I was properly running again. And I remember being I want to keep going, I want to keep going. And we kind of, our goal was never to do it in the fastest kind of time. So we stuck to 60K a day, but I definitely towards the end could have gone further each day. But yeah,